Hello, this is Chetan Narula reporting for Cricket World on this beautiful Monday morning here in Antigua. And as you can see in my background, I am not at the stadium, and that is because India have won the first test against the West Indies by an innings and 92 runs, which means that today is an off day. And finally, after arriving in the Caribbean, after 12 days, I can finally go to the beach today, right after I have done this review. So let's get straight on to it. India won the toss, and as we had discussed in the previous video, India won the toss and elected to bat first. A bit of a historic occasion over the first 2 days. We had Virat Kohli scoring 200 runs, exact 200. He became the first Indian skipper to score a test double ton outside the Indian subcontinent. And obviously, we had Ravichandran Ashwin scoring 100 as well. So those two batsmen getting the bulk of the runs for India. The highlight, obviously, of the Indian innings was the fact that the West Indies did not have the bowlers to bowl this Indian batting lineup out. I mean, you had Shannon Gabriel and you had Devendra Bishu. They were the only full-time bowlers that the West Indies got in their lineup. And you had somebody like a Jason Holder and Carlos Brathwaite who did not have the pace to trouble the batsmen on that particular pitch. And then you had somebody like a Roston Chase or even Craig Brathwaite who bowled some overs. But again, that was not enough to stop this Indian batting lineup. We had Shikhar Dhawan and Amit Mishra also scoring half centuries, and India finished at 566 for 8 declared. And after that, it was bowling and bowling for them on day 3. On day 4, they bowled a little on day 2 as well. And over the course of those 2+ days, about say 6 sessions, they were able to bowl out West Indies twice. And I think that was the big differentiating factor in this particular test match, that the Indians bowling lineup had that power, had that penetration to get the batsmen out. And why did they have that penetration? Obviously, they had two world-class spinners in R. Ashwin and Amit Mishra. But apart from that, they also had 3 full-time pacers. Somebody like an Ishant Sharma, somebody like an Umesh Yadav, somebody like a Mohammad Shami who could bend their back on a flat track. Yes, the wicket was a helpful wicket for batting, but they could bend their back, they could get that extra bounce, they could get that extra pace. I mean, Shannon Gabriel also had that extra pace, and he did trouble the Indian batsman, but he was all alone. There was nobody else to support him. You know, Holder and Carlos Brathwaite did not have that pace which somebody like Ishant, Shami and Umesh had. So that pace, that was the differentiating factor. Obviously, they could use the wind to good effect. They could get the ball to reverse a bit. And Mohammad Shami and Umesh Yadav taking 4 wickets each in the first innings of the West Indies, in the first West Indies innings. In the second innings, obviously, they were still trailing by 300 plus runs, and India enforced the follow-on. And after that, on day 4, it was the Ravichandran Ashwin show, his first 5-wicket haul outside the Indian subcontinent. So with his century and a 7-wicket haul, it was a 5-wicket haul outside the subcontinent, but his exact figures were 7 for 83. So with those two factors combining, with the century and the 7-wicket haul, he was adjudged the man of the match. Some good pace, some good spin, some good drift, some good bounce on his. The beauty he bowled to Marlon Samuels, just going past the outside edge, and bowling him was a peach of a delivery. For the West Indies, 2 batsmen stood out. It was Craig Brathwaite and Marlon Samuels who scored half centuries. Carlos Brathwaite also scored a rearguard half century, but the damage had been done by then. So you're looking at Craig Brathwaite, who opens the innings, and he can play for time. He can leave the deliveries outside the off stump. And you have Samuels, who can be an enforcer in the middle order. But the big disappointment for them would have been, Darren Bravo not scoring any runs in this test match. I mean, you look at, he scored 11 and 10. So he scored 11 and 10 runs, 21 runs in 2 innings, and this is somebody who's played 40-odd test matches. And you're looking at somebody like a Marlon Samuels who's played 60-odd matches. He scored just the 50-odd runs in the second innings. So much of the responsibility is on these batsmen to come good. But more than that, West Indies need an additional bowler in the second test, somebody who can rattle the Indian batsmen, along with Shannon Gabriel. Miguel Cummins is a name that comes to mind. He is yet to make his test debut, but perhaps he'll get a look in the second test match, which will be in Jamaica, where I fly off to next, but not before I use this day and go to the beach. And if I can just show a little bit preview, and you can take a look perhaps right over there. You can see the bit of blue, you can see the cottages where I'm staying here in Antigua, and then you can see a bit of blue as well, and that is where I'm headed this Monday morning.